totally appropriate when you see what I'm talking about. So imagine you go to a bank and you're taking out a loan, right, for $500,000. And then with that loan, you go and build a house. And then 10 years down the line, the bank comes back and wants the $500,000, but you don't have it. It's built in the house, right? You built the house with it. Why am I using a house? Well, we'll see. What is the bank going to do? It's going to take your house and sell it to get the $500,000 back. And then it is all good. As the saying goes, if you owe the bank $1 million, that is your problem. But if you owe the bank $1 billion, that is the bank's problem. And that is the issue that the world is facing now, because everything I just said, the international stage has been playing out perfectly. It's like a great comedy. So China, this is the country I'm talking about. In 1978, China was not the superpower that it is today. They did not have many natural resources. They did not have infrastructure. They had nothing. But they did have a big population. And so what can you do with a big population? You can manufacture. So China became the world's manufacturer. Lots of cheap exports going to many countries. By 2006, manufacturing accounted for 60% of their GDP in exports. GDP is a measure of a country's economic performance. There are 4 categories. There's consumerism, consumer spending, which is like chairs, Crunchwrap Supreme, right? You take it, you eat it immediately, it's done. Investment spending, which is like a house, a bridge, a port. And these are things you buy, you do not use immediately, and they continue getting returns. There's government spending, which is limited by taxes that you get from your people. And then there's imports and exports, obviously what you take in and what you send out. So China was a largely export-based economy. But you cannot be like that for long, right? Because if you have exports and you are a manufacturer, that means you have cheap labor. And as your country becomes more wealthy, your citizens are not going to want to deal with this cheap labor for long. So eventually you're going to transition. You're going to go to investment spending, which is what China did. So with all the money they got from their exports, they began building roads, bridges, and ports. And this is the good type of investment spending. You can do this very easily because these are things that give you immediate returns, right? You have a big group of people, you need bridges and ports to transport goods. But eventually they ran out of that. However, by this time, investment spending was 53% of China's GDP. We're talking right around 2006 right now. So you can't just stop building, right? Because then your GDP is going to collapse, and all these countries who have been sending you money because your economy is growing so big will stop doing that. So you keep building. So in China right now, we're talking 2019 to 2022, consumer spending is very low, only 32.6% of GDP. This is an abnormality. In countries like the United States and Japan, it's around 70% of GDP. Consumer spending is the last stop on the development of a nation, right? When your citizens are wealthy and happy, they feel comfortable letting go of their cash, they do consumer spending. But Chinese citizens, they're not like that. They are spending money though, it's just investment spending. Chinese consumers are spending on houses, on real estate. And why are they doing this? Well, there are 2 reasons. The first is that the government has propositions to their citizens that is a good investment, right? Real estate, the price index has gone up by 332% in the last 10 years. It does not take a genius to figure out that that's an upward line. So you would want to get in early, right? So they think it's an investment. Secondly, because of years of the one-child policy, the ratio of females to males in China is slightly off. So if you are a woman, you can be more picky with your dowry and with the person you choose to marry, and you can request more things. And houses are a prerequisite, no questions asked. The rate of people buying homes in China is 90%, highest in the world. And the people who are buying homes, 87%, they already own a home. So they have 2 or 3 homes under their belts. This is crazy, this is not normal. China has 65 million vacancies right now. They could house all of France with their excess housing. But the prices keep going up. So you have demand, which is skyrocketing, you have prices, which are skyrocketing, and you have supply, which is skyrocketing. And when you take economics, this is impossible. That should never happen, right? You cannot have all 3 at once. You can have 2 out of 3, you never have all 3. This means that there is the speculative market in China. The prices are artificially too high, and eventually this bubble is going to pop. So right now there's 123,000 yuan per square meter. That's around $5,603 per square foot. To put this in perspective, very bad. These 2 fine, hardworking gentlemen, probably not doing anything illegal at all. Where they are sitting right now, how much do you think this costs? Like, any guesses? How much per square foot? Michael?
Billion, trillion.
This is $1,600 per square foot. So in China, the prices right now are nearly 3.5 times what this is. This area, this is in the heart of Manhattan, at the top of the Ritz, right? And keep in mind too, the average GDP per capita of a United States citizen is $52,000. For a Chinese citizen, it's like $12,000. So 43 times your annual income needs to be spent on buying a single home. People are going onto auction sites and they're buying partial shares of homes. That's how crazy the market is getting. And the market is this way because foreign investors have been pumping money into China because the government controls the entire economy. And they're sending out figures showing that there is growth, building these empty skyscrapers and like high-speed rail to nowhere between 2 cities that have a town of 150,000 and 200,000. You're building a $1 billion high-speed rail network in between them. So growth is going up because it's being artificially stimulated by the government. So the question is, well, if there's an artificial bubble, why can't the companies take their money out? Well, you cannot. In China, according to Chinese law, $50,000 per year is the max. Anything else has to come with the express permission of the government. And you think the government is going to let countries just yank all their money out of China? No. Because why? Real estate accounts for 30% of China's GDP now. The entire sector, literally a third of their economy, is built on these empty homes. So they're not going to have Vanguard and BlackRock, all these companies putting billions in. They're not just going to let them take them out at will. Chevron, General Motors, these companies have all put money into China. And in 2016, they tried to take it out. But the Chinese government, known for its efficiency, they can build a hospital in 10 days. But you're trying to get electronic funds transferred out of the country, and it's a quagmire. They couldn't do it. There was too much red tape and bureaucracy. Oh, we do not know where the funds go. Oh, there's some regulation here. Oh, this local provinces. You just can't do it. The bubble is starting to pop. The China Evergrande Group, China's largest real estate sector, lost $300 billion. They defaulted on their loans. $1.2 billion in foreign bonds wiped out. So an investor, if any of you are, you would look at this and say, okay, I put my money in a company, it went bad, oh well. Like in the beginning of this talk, I said the bank will just sell the house and get its money back. But this is the problem. All the $300 billion, it has gone into building housing, and you cannot sell the house because no one wants to buy it. It's in China, right? That is the issue in the first place. No one is buying these things. So it gets to look a little fishy now because we have $300 billion in losses for Western countries, and what does China get? They get a new city, they get a new rail line, they get a new port. So they are getting real world things, and the investors are getting nothing. And some would say, oh, well, they're getting real world things, but nobody's using them, right? They're clowns. The city of Bordeaux was built using Chinese Evergrande Group money, $120 billion. And it is essentially a city for 3 million people, skyscrapers, plazas, parks, and everything, but there's no one. There's 150,000 people there, they just want to use that. Well, China just discovered 1/3 of their natural gas and 1/6 of their coal in the province where Bordeaux is located. It's almost like they knew they would need a city there to house all those people who would be extracting those resources. And they directed a private company to build the city, let the private company take the fall because all companies in China are beholden to the government. The law demands you must hand over any assets and data at any time. There is no such thing as a private company in China. So this company builds the city, they take the fall, and then a couple years later, China realizes, oh, we actually do have a need for this city after all. If you want to understand Chinese-US investor relations right now, this last image I'm going to show you sums it up pretty perfectly. That's it. That's all there is to it. I mean, right now, what I am saying, it is true. Like, as of right now, money has not left China. Investor inflow has not left China. We are getting rich on paper, but there is no physical return. No investor has gone into China with $100 billion and come back with the $150 billion that on paper the Chinese government tells them they have, okay? So we give China high-speed rail, skyscrapers, and other infrastructure, and we get nothing in return except the promise of getting rich on paper. It is the largest transfer of wealth in human history. The FBI estimates that over $500 billion has been put into China in this manner with no returns right now. Every 10 hours, the FBI is opening another China-related counterintelligence case. Largest transfer of wealth in history, the biggest fraud in history, in my opinion. Thank you.